So what is up, guys? Brendan Suter back, and today I am here with NFL Week, Fran Tarkenton, Eli Manning, Tyreek Hill, DeAndre Hopkins, and Traquan Smith. It is Week 10 predictions. If you're looking to watch a certain matchup, timestamps are in the description box below, so click on the match you want to see. Anyways, last week, not my best. I was 7-6. Obviously, when I go 13-2, I would expect a slight regression. Anyways, we got 14 matches to get to, so this week we have the Cincinnati Bengals, Baltimore Ravens, New York Jets, and New England Patriots all in their bye week. Home to go 14-0 this week. So without further ado, let's get this video started. So we're starting off with our Thursday Night Football matchup, a classic NFC South rivalry between the Atlanta Falcons and the Carolina Panthers. Starting off with the Falcons, it was a tough 20-17 loss to the LA Chargers. Marcus Mariota, not his best game, didn't even complete 50% of his passes for 129 yards. But once again, it was really on the rushing game, led by Tyler Algier with 99 rushing yards, but Cordero Patterson, he had 44 yards and 2 touchdowns of the day. You had a total of 201 rushing yards on the game. Lead receiver was Kyle Pitts. He had 2 receptions for 27 yards, followed by Algier with 1 reception for 24 yards, and then Drake London, 3 receptions, 23 yards. That was pretty much it. And the defense, sure, they were able to hold the Chargers down to 20 points, but in the end, it was ultimately a failure because one of your biggest mistakes that came is when you forced a fumble, started running down the sideline, and you immediately drop it. And the Chargers recovered. This was in the last minute of the game. It's why you lost. And then with the Panthers, it was just utter embarrassment. Lost 42-21 to the Cincinnati Bengals. P.J. Walker started. He threw for 9 yards and 2 picks. He had a quarterback rating of 0. Baker Mayfield plays the second half, and he was pretty solid with 155 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's always good against the Cincinnati Bengals. Once again, this was completely in garbage time. Really meant nothing. Lead rusher was Dante Foreman with 27 yards. Lead receiver was Terrence Marshall, 3 receptions, 53 yards, and a touchdown. Followed that up with Blackshear, 4 receptions, 40 yards, and then DJ Moore, 2 receptions, 24 yards. That was pretty much it. And the defense, there's nothing good I can say about your defense. You got fried apart by the Cincinnati Bengals. Falcons are 3-point favorites to win this one. I'm going to say that they win and cover the spread. And now you have our very first Sunday matchup, our first game taking place in Germany between the Seattle Seahawks and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Starting off with the Seahawks, a strong 31-21 victory over the Arizona Cardinals. First place in the NFC West, which is pretty good, considering what I thought about you going into the season. Anyway, starting off, Geno Smith, solid game, threw for 275 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Lead rusher, though, Kenneth Walker ran for 109 yards and 2 touchdowns. Lead receiver was Noah Fant, 5 receptions, 96 yards, followed by Tyler Lockett, 5 receptions, 67 yards, and a touchdown. And then DK Metcalf, 5 receptions, 37 yards, and a touchdown. That was pretty much it. And the defense did a great job at locking down the Arizona Cardinals. Just a strong performance all around. And then the Buccaneers just barely escaped with a 16-13 victory over the LA Rams. Tom Brady threw for 280 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks. Lead rusher was Rashad White with 27 yards. But lead receiver was Cade Otton, 5 receptions, 68 yards, and the game-winning touchdown now. This was Cade Otton's very first touchdown. It was a very significant one, as in September he had suddenly lost his mom. And the whole time he's saying, this is for mom. So that's how he scores his first touchdown, a game winner. So hits me right there. Anyways, then following up, Scotty Miller, 7 receptions, 53 yards. And then Leonard Fournette, 5 receptions, 41 yards. That was pretty much it. And the defense outside of Cooper Kupp just completely locked down this unit because the Rams, they have just been a huge disappointment this season. Buccaneers are 2.5-point favorites to win this one. But you know what? I'm riding high on the Seahawks. I'm going to say that they pull off the upset in Germany. And now you have our very first 1 o'clock matchup between the Denver Broncos and the Tennessee Titans. Starting off with the Broncos. You were on your bye last week, but you pulled off a big victory in London over the Jaguars, 21-17. Russell Wilson was mad, threw for 252 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Lead rusher was Latavius Murray with 46 yards and a touchdown, followed by Melvin Gordon with 29 yards and a touchdown. Lead receiver was Greg Dulcich, as he had 4 receptions, 87 yards, followed by Jerry Jeudy, 6 receptions, 63 yards, and a touchdown. And then KJ Hamler, 2 receptions, 52 yards. That was pretty much it. And the defense, outside of Travis Etienne, they did a great job at shutting down the Jacksonville Jaguars. And then with the Titans, despite being massive underdogs against the Kansas City Chiefs, you kept it close, only lost 20-17 in overtime. So it was impressive. I mean, unless you're the passing, because Malik Willis was horrible, 5 for 16 for 80 yards. I'm not even kidding. He threw for only 80 yards. Lead rusher, of course, Derrick Henry with 115 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's just been scoring like basically everything for the Titans if you don't include the defense. Lead receiver was Chigozium Okonkwo with 1 reception for 48 yards, followed by Austin Hooper, 2 receptions, 34 yards, and then Hassan Haskins, 1 reception, 2 yards. That was it. No one else had anything in the receiving game. And then the defense, they could not stop the pass, but they did a good job against the rush. In the end, you kept them down because they only had 20 points. But if your offense had some sort of competence, you could have had something. This is what happens when you get rid of A.J. Brown and Corey Davis. You got nothing in the receiving game. It's just a mess, but somehow you're still leading the AFC South. It's just a horrible division. Titans are 2.5-point favorites to win this one, but this bad offense, it can't keep going on forever. Give me the Broncos in an upset. And now you have our very next matchup between the Cleveland Browns and the Miami Dolphins. Starting off with the Browns, you were on your bye last week, but you pulled out a 32-13 victory over the Bengals last time. Jacoby Brissett was amazing, threw for 278 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks. Lead rush, though, of course, Nick Chubb ran for 101 yards and 2 touchdowns. Lead receiver, of course, Amari Cooper, 5 receptions, 131 yards, and a touchdown, followed by Donovan Peoples-Jones, 4 receptions, 81 yards, and then Kareem Hunt, 4 receptions, 30 yards. That's pretty much it. And the defense, they just shut down the Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, no Jamar Chase meant that the pass game really couldn't get much going. They were not giving the ball enough to Joe Mixon. But nonetheless, take the victory because it was a good one. Maybe you won't need Deshaun Watson back. But to be honest, I feel like Deshaun Watson would just be a great add to this team because Brissett's fine, but Watson is a generational talent, despite what happened off the field. And then the Dolphins, a strong 35-32 victory over the Chicago Bears. Tua Tagovailoa was solid, through for 302 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Lead rush was Jeff Wilson Jr. with 51 yards, but it was Raheem Mostert with 26 yards and the only rushing touchdown. Lead receiver, of course, Tyreek Hill, 7 receptions, 143 yards, and a touchdown, followed by Jalen Waddle, 5 receptions, 85 yards and a touchdown. And then Sherfield, 3 receptions, 27 yards. That was pretty much it. And the defense, they stopped the pass game, but the rush game of the Bears, they just couldn't handle. Justin Fields on the ground is just an absolute force to be reckoned with. But still good enough for the victory. Dolphins are 3.5-point favorites to win this one. I'm going to say that they win and cover the spread. And now you have our very next matchup, a classic NFC North rivalry between the Detroit Lions and the Chicago Bears. Starting off with the Lions. Good job beating the Green Bay Packers 15-9. Jared Goff, not his best, though. Barely completed 50% of his passes for 137 yards. 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Lead rusher was Jamal Williams with 81 yards. Lead receiver, though, of course, who else but Amon-Ra St. Brown, 4 receptions, 55 yards. Followed by DeAndre Swift, 3 receptions, 40 yards. And then Khalif Raymond, 3 receptions, 17 yards. That was pretty much it, but the defense just did an excellent job at shutting down the Green Bay Packers. Got 3 red zone picks, which, you guys had the worst defense in the league. And I still don't really believe in your defense, but what you did after the Packers game, massive props out to making cheeseheads cry into their cheese hat. Anyways, and then the Bears, you may have lost 35-32, but it's a proud loss. Justin Fields, he threw for 123 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Once again, he's more focused on the ground as he had 178 rushing yards and a touchdown, the most rushing yards by a quarterback in a single game, at least when the AFC was created. So it's really worth something. Had a total of 252 rushing yards on the day. Lead receiver Darnell Mooney, 7 receptions, 43 yards, and a touchdown. Followed by Cole Kmet, 5 receptions, 41 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And then Mapletron, 2 receptions, 13 yards. That was pretty much it. And the defense, it did have its struggles against the Miami Dolphins. But in the end, it's, like I said, it's a loss to be proud of. Bears are 3-point favorites to win this one. I'm going to say that they win and cover the spread. And now you have our very next matchup between the Minnesota Vikings and the Buffalo Bills. Now, my best friend, he's a Bills fan, and one thing that he says is that, of course, when the Bills played the Vikings back in 2018, that was the first game that Josh Allen put himself on the map, said that, hey, I'm relevant. And also, what makes this matchup significant is that before the 2020 draft, the Bills had traded for Stephon Diggs. They gave away their first-round pick, and the Vikings used that to draft Justin Jefferson. So, honestly, it's a good narrative matchup. Starting off with the Minnesota Vikings, a big 20-17 victory over the Washington Commanders. Kirk Cousins threw for 265 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Lead rusher was Dalvin Cook with 47 yards. Lead receiver, who else but Jay Jettas, 7 receptions, 115 yards, and a touchdown. Lead receiver followed up with TJ Hawkinson, 9 receptions, 70 yards, and then Adam Thielen, 3 receptions, 67 yards. That was pretty much it. And the defense, they were good at shutting down the Washington Commanders. And, of course, Kirk Cousins celebrates with chains, shirtless, doing some of this. It was just too funny. And then the Bills, you lost the Jets? What? I'm utterly confused. Josh Allen was not his best game. Barely completed 50% of his passes for 205 yards, no touchdowns and 2 picks. However, he did go out. Now, he is dealing with a sprained elbow, which is a bit of a concern because even though he's day-to-day, is he really going to be the same? Is he going to follow what Matthew Stafford has been through? Honestly, who knows? He also led rushing with 86 yards and 2 touchdowns. Lead receiver, Stephon Diggs, 5 receptions, 93 yards. Gabriel Davis, 2 receptions, 33 yards. And then Dawson Knox, 3 receptions, 25 yards. That was pretty much it. And the defense, they were able to shut down the pass game of the New York Jets, but they just couldn't stop the rush because that's really what New York abused. And Bills, they're 3.5-point favorites to win this one, but I'm going to take the Vikings here because I'm just too unsure if Josh Allen's even going to play and if he's even going to be the same because elbow sprain, I know for some that may not seem serious, but honestly, with what happened with Baker Mayfield when he screwed up his shoulder or Matthew Stafford after he got that surgery on his elbow, you really don't know. So Vikings win this one. Sorry, Bills fans. And now you have our very next matchup, the matchup of black and gold between my boys in the New Orleans Saints and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Starting off with the Saints, an utterly embarrassing 27-13 loss to the Baltimore Ravens. Andy Dalton threw for 210 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Lead rush was Alvin Kamara. He only got 9 carries and got 30 yards out of that. Feed Alvin Kamara. Good things happen to the Saints when we feed Kamara, and the quarterback situation is just a complete mess right now. Lead receiver, of course, Chris Olave, 6 receptions, 71 yards, followed by Juwan Johnson, 2 receptions, 42 yards, and a touchdown. And then Alvin Kamara, 3 receptions, 32 yards. That was pretty much it. And the defense, they were really no match for Lamar Jackson because he put on a show against the New Orleans Saints. Sure, we had him down at times, but ultimately, with how poor the offense was, there was nothing we could do. And Taylor, I know you may be watching this. I want to apologize for all the trash talking I did about the Ravens beforehand because truly I got humbled. And you were not shy to humble me on that. So, good win for the Ravens. But it hurts. And then the Pittsburgh Steelers, you were on your bye last week, but got humiliated in the Battle of Pennsylvania, losing 35-13 to the Philadelphia Eagles. Kenny Pickett was terrible, threw for 191 yards, no touchdowns, 1 pick. The only touchdown came from Chase Claypool before he got traded. Lead rusher was Warren with 50 yards, followed by Kenny Pickett with 37. Lead receiver was Pat Freiermuth, 4 receptions, 57 yards, followed by Mapletron, 4 receptions, 45 yards. Once again, he got traded to the Bears. And then Deontay Johnson, 5 receptions, 35 yards. Only guy with the receiving touchdown was my boy Derek Watt, the forgotten Watt brother. That was pretty much it. And the defense got exposed by A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts, and the entire Philadelphia Eagles squad. Saints are 2-point favorites to win this one. So, of course, who dat nation going to beat a trash organization like the Pittsburgh Steelers that the Saints win and cover the spread. And now you have our very next matchup between the Houston Texans and the New York Giants. Starting off with the Texans, you lost 29-17 against the Philadelphia Eagles, but at least you beat Philadelphia in the World Series. So that's the only flex that Houston has. Sure, I'm still bitter about your trash can banging in 2017, but once again, for Dusty Baker, that's what made me smile when the Astros won. Starting off, Davis Mills, not his best, threw for 154 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 picks. Lead rush, though, was Damian Pierce, ran for 139 yards. Lead receiver was Philip Dorsett, 3 receptions, 69 yards. Nice. Then Moore with 4 receptions, 43 yards, and a touchdown. And then O.J. Howard, 1 reception, 14 yards. That was pretty much it. And the defense, they had some trouble against the Philadelphia Eagles. And, I can't really blame you because the Eagles, they're flying high this year. So fly, Eagles, fly. And then the Giants, you were on your bye last week, but the last time you played, you lost 27-13 to the Seattle Seahawks. Daniel Jones, not exactly his best, threw for 176 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. Lead rush was Saquon Barkley with 53 yards and a touchdown. Lead receiver was Darius Slayton, 5 receptions, 66 yards, followed by Tanner Hudson, 3 receptions, 58 yards, and then Wan'Dale Robinson, 2 receptions, 15 yards. That was pretty much it. And the defense, it had its struggles against Geno Smith and Kenneth Walker. So not the worst loss, but, it would have been nice to see you guys win. Giants, they're 4.5-point favorites to win this one. I'm going to say that they win and cover the spread. And now you have our very next matchup between the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Kansas City Chiefs. Starting out with the Jaguars, an impressive 27-20 victory over the Las Vegas Raiders. You were down 17-0 to start, but rallied back. Trevor Lawrence was solid through for 235 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks. Lead rusher, of course, was Travis Etienne with 109 yards and 2 touchdowns. Lead receiver was Christian Kirk, 8 receptions, 76 yards, and a touchdown, followed by Marvin Jones Jr., 5 receptions, 48 yards, and then Zay Jones, 5 receptions, 40 yards. That was pretty much it. And the defense, the first half was pretty rough against the Raiders, but you locked them down in the second half and were able to complete the comeback, so very impressive. And then the Kansas City Chiefs, you won 20-17 over the Tennessee Titans, although it was a lot closer than it should have been. I mean, considering how Malik Willis played, like, you should have won by a landslide. Patrick Mahomes threw the ball 68 times for 446 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. He also led rushing with 63 yards and a touchdown, so he can literally do it all. Lead receiver was Travis Kelce, 10 receptions, 106 yards, followed by Juju Smith-Schuster, 10 receptions, 88 yards, and then McCole Hardman, 6 receptions, 79 yards, and a touchdown. That was pretty much it. And the defense, you fell apart to King Henry, but you shut down the rest. Not really saying much because Malik Willis sucks. Anyways, Chiefs, they're 9.5-point favorites to win this one right now. I'm going to say that they win, but don't cover the spread. And now you have our very first 4 o'clock matchup between the Indianapolis Colts and the Las Vegas Raiders. Starting off with the Colts, humiliating 26-3 loss against the New England Patriots. Frank Reich lost his job. Now, should he have lost it? I'll be honest, yeah, because, he started off good, but just kind of fell apart as the years went along. But honestly, the biggest problem, of course, on your team is Jim Irsay. I mean, the owner, he's really not, until he's gone, nothing's really going to change for this team. Starting off, Sam Ehlinger was a bad game, threw for 103 yards, no touchdowns and a pick, but, he did get sacked 9 times, so I can't be too harsh on him, and he also led rushing with 39 yards. Lead receiver was Alec Pierce, 1 reception, 23 yards, followed by Michael Pittman Jr., 3 receptions, 22 yards, and then Paris Campbell, 2 receptions, 15 yards. That was pretty much it. And the defense, sure, they were okay against the New England Patriots, but that defense that the Patriots had just swallowed you whole. I know that's very dirty to say, but it is true. And then the Raiders, humiliating. You had a 17-0 lead, and you lost the Jaguars 27-20. Derek Carr threw for 259 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Lead rusher was Josh Jacobs with 67 yards. Lead receiver, Devontae Adams, 10 receptions, 146 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Foster Moreau, 2 receptions, 42 yards, and then Hunter Renfrow, 3 receptions, 26 yards. That was pretty much it. And the defense, sure, it was great in the first half, but fell apart as the game went along. So, tough pill to swallow. Raiders are 6-point favorites to win this one, but, in the past, outside of the past couple of games where interim coaches have come in for their first game, they've had a very good track record. So with that logic, give me the Colts. And now you have our very next matchup, a rematch of the 1967 NFC Championship game, otherwise known as the Ice Bowl, between the Dallas Cowboys and the Green Bay Packers. Starting off with the Cowboys, you were on your bye last week, but had a strong 49-29 victory over the Chicago Bears. Dak Prescott was solid, through for 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. No Ezekiel Elliott meant no problems because Tony Pollard ran for 131 yards and 3 touchdowns, followed by Dak Prescott with 34 yards and a touchdown. Lead receiver was CeeDee Lamb, 5 receptions, 77 yards, and a touchdown, followed by Dalton Schultz, 6 receptions, 74 yards, and then Michael Gallup, 4 receptions, 49 yards. That was pretty much it. And the defense, it wasn't that great because Justin Fields just ran all over that. This was kind of like one of his first big breakout games, but no real shame in that because once he unlocked that potential, he's just an absolute freak. And then the Packers, a humiliating 15-9 loss to the Detroit Lions. Aaron Rodgers threw for 291 yards, 1 touchdown, and 3 picks. All of them were red zone picks. Pathetic. Aaron Rodgers also led rushing with 40 yards. Lead receiver was Allen Lazard with 4 receptions, 87 yards, and a touchdown, followed by DeGuria, 5 receptions, 41 yards, and then Torrey, 2 receptions, 34 yards. That was pretty much it. And the defense, I mean, it did good. It did well against the Detroit Lions, but with how you shut down the Lions and how bad the Lions defense has been, you should have been able to pull out a victory. Oh, wait, yeah, you choked. Super disappointing to see. Cowboys, they're 5-point favorites to win this one. I would say that they win and cover the spread. And now you have our very next matchup, a rematch of the 2021 NFC wildcard game and a classic NFC West rivalry between the Arizona Cardinals and the LA Rams. Starting out with the Cardinals, a brutal 31-21 loss against the Seattle Seahawks. Kyler Murray threw for 175 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Lead rusher was also Kyler Murray with 60 yards. Lead receiver was Rondale Moore, 8 receptions, 69 yards, followed by Zach Ertz, 5 receptions, 40 yards, and a touchdown. And then DeAndre Hopkins, 4 receptions, 36 yards, and a touchdown. That was pretty much it, and the defense just completely fell apart to Geno Smith and Kenneth Walker. Honestly, the Arizona Cardinals have been so disappointing this year, and honestly, it would not shock me if Cliff Kingsbury is the next guy out. I mean, he's a huge problem on the Arizona Cardinals, but he's not the only problem. There's so many, but once again, Cliff Kingsbury, he's going to get the boot soon. And then the Rams, tough 16-13 loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Matthew Stafford didn't even complete 50% of his passes for 165 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks. Lead rusher was Darrell Henderson with 56 yards. Lead receiver, come on. If it's anyone else than Cooper Kupp, wake me up, because Cooper Kupp, 8 receptions, 127 yards, and a touchdown, followed by Allen Robinson, 3 receptions, 24 yards, Malcolm Brown, 1 reception, 10 yards. And then Brandon Powell, 1 reception, 4 yards. That was it for receiving. And the defense, they did great against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but completely fell apart to them on the final drive, which sucks for them. Although Rams are a 1.5 favorite to win this one. Honestly, both these NFC West teams are completely free-falling in the bad way. I'm going to say that the Rams win and cover the spread. And now you have our Sunday Night Football matchup between the LA Chargers and the San Francisco 49ers. Start off with the Chargers. You won 20-17 over the Falcons. It was kind of a sloppy victory, but win's a win in the end. Justin Herbert was okay, threw for 245 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Lead rusher was Austin Eckler with 47 yards and a touchdown. Lead receiver was Joshua Palmer, 8 receptions, 106 yards, followed by DeAndre Carter, 5 receptions, 53 yards, and then Gerald Everett, 5 receptions, 36 yards. That was pretty much it. And the defense, they did a good job at shutting down the pass game of the Falcons. Had some trouble against the rush, but pulled out the victory in the end because Cameron Dicker was the clutch kicker. Dicker? I didn't even know her. It's just a stupid, it's a bad joke, but Cameron Dicker, clutch as hell. And then the 49ers, you were on your bye last week, but the last time you played, you pulled out a crucial 31-14 victory over the LA Rams, starting off with Jimmy Garoppolo. He threw for 235 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks, but it was all in Christian McCaffrey because he threw for 34 yards and a touchdown, ran for 94 yards and a touchdown, and had 8 receptions for 55 yards and a touchdown. The first player since LaDainian Tomlinson, the first position player to have a throwing, receiving, and rushing touchdown all in the same game. He achieved the triple-double and also got that with a touchdown. So, goddamn, Chris McCaffrey can do it all. But also in terms of receiving, Brandon Ayuk, 6 receptions, 81 yards and a touchdown. Dwelly, 1 reception, 56 yards. Of course, there was McCaffrey, 8 catches, 55 yards and a touchdown. And then George Kittle, 3 receptions, 39 yards and a touchdown. That was pretty much it. And the defense just shut down the LA Rams outside of Cooper Kupp. But once again, most of these teams, they can get exposed by Cooper Kupp, but anyone else, they can just completely shut down because the Rams are so one-dimensional. The 49ers, they're 7-point favorites to win this one. I'm saying they win, but don't cover the spread. Justin Herbert's going to keep this one close, but the Niners will pull off the victory. Now you have our Monday Night Football Classic NFC East rivalry between the Washington Commanders and the Philadelphia Eagles. Starting off with the Commanders, a tough 20-17 loss to the Minnesota Vikings. Taylor Heineke looked okay, threw for 149 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Lead rusher was Brian Robinson with 44 yards, but you had 137 rushing yards on the day, which was respectable. Lead receiver Curtis Samuel, 3 receptions, 65 yards, and a touchdown, followed by Scary Terry, 5 receptions, 56 yards, and then Sims, 1 reception, 12 yards. That was pretty much it. And the defense, they were okay. They shut down Dalvin Cook in the run game, but they just couldn't handle Justin Jefferson and TJ Hawkinson in the passing game. And then the Eagles, big 29-17 victory over the Houston Texans, putting you at 8-0 in the season. Jalen Hurts was solid, threw for 243 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Lead rusher, though, was Miles Sanders with 93 yards and a touchdown. Lead receiver, Dallas Goedert, 8 receptions, 100 yards and a touchdown, followed by A.J. Brown, 4 receptions, 59 yards and a touchdown. And then Quez Watkins, 2 receptions, 25 yards. That was pretty much it. And the defense just completely locked down the Houston Texans. Sure, there was some struggles against them in the first half, but in the end, you shut them down outside of Dameon Pierce. The Eagles, they're 11-point favorites to win this one. I'm going to say that they win, but don't cover the spread. And that is going to wrap up my video for today. Thank you guys all so much for watching. If you want to watch my last video, click right over here. If you like this video, drop a like, subscribe to my channel by clicking over here, or the subscribe button down below. Comment down below what your thoughts were on this video. Who's your upset of the week, lock of the week, favorite team going to win, am I going to have a perfect week? Follow me on all my social medias, Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok at Brendan Suter. Thank you all for watching. Have a great day. Who Dat Nation in complete desperation mode is out.